Hey everyone, welcome back. Today I'm going to give you another guitar tip, and today's tip is all about sitting. I'm always surprised that I can go to concerts with incredibly virtuosic musicians who are sitting in such a contorted way that is really doing them a disservice. And even this amazing performer that we can worship over could improve their playing if they simply sat better. The first reason we need to sit well is so that we can breathe properly. If one has bad slouched posture, the first thing that goes is our ability to breathe freely, and if we're not breathing well, we're not playing well. Once we stop breathing well, our muscles tighten, and it's a chain reaction which just can only damage our playing. So let's go over some quick tips on how you can sit better, whether you're at home practicing or whether you're in the middle of a concert. Okay, so if our goal is to sit well with an instrument, we have to first learn how to sit well without one. A basic rule that I always tell myself, a sort of mantra that you can take home with you, is head over heart, heart over hips. So maybe from this angle it's better to see. If I'm slouching, my head's in front of my heart, right? And my heart is in front of my hips. So I can correct this by head over heart, heart over hips. And if those things aren't in line, we are not stable, we are not supported, and our muscles, small muscle groups, are working extra hard to support our skeleton. And instead, if we simply follow the mantra, head over heart, heart over hips, everything falls into place and we can relax into this nice supported posture, which means our muscles can work more efficiently, which means we are better performers. A really important thing to consider is the type of chair you're using. So very often I show up to a gig and the chair they're providing me is awful. It either has arms or it's too high, too low. At home, I'm just using a very simple sort of dining chair with a cushion. And it's very important that we find the right height of chair or use a chair that's adjustable, like a piano bench. Because if a chair's too high, our legs can be at too much of an angle. And even worse, we could be tiptoeing on the ground, which causes a lot of tension through the legs. And the thing about tension is that it translates and works its way up, and before you know it, tension in your foot can lead to tension in your fingers. If the chair's too low, your knees are too high, it encourages slouching and you can't breathe. Another bad chain reaction. Okay, now that we're sitting well, we can add an instrument. There are a number of support devices on the market for holding the guitar. If you are just a acoustic guitar player playing folk, pop, rock, something like that, feel free to simply put the guitar on the right thigh in the curved section here, and leave the guitar parallel to the ground. And this is a fine playing position, especially if you're playing mostly chords in first position. It's okay, just be careful. It can really encourage this sort of sitting position. So head over heart, heart over hips, and you got it. Another idea, if you're not going to use a guitar support, is to cross the right leg over the left leg. This takes some getting used to because for some people who haven't done this, your leg can fall asleep, but you can reposition it and eventually you'll learn to sit in this position for very long periods of time. Flamenco guitar players, for example, mostly sit like this, and they can do it for hours on end. One thing I love about crossing my leg is it brings the guitar up a little higher, which makes it a bit easier to play. And if you sit back in the chair, it encourages a long, lengthy spine, and I'm very comfortable. So when I'm teaching or just kind of hanging out and improvising, I often sit like this. Now, if you're a classical guitarist, you're probably going to want to hold the guitar at more of a 45-degree angle, which gives you greater access to the upper frets, which is definitely needed for the repertoire. So the traditional way is to use a footstool to bring the guitar in that higher position. And so by putting the footstool on the left foot, it raises it up, we put the curve of the guitar on the left leg, and the guitar drops between our legs, giving us this 45-degree angle. Now, I don't like the footstool personally. I have a long torso, and so for me to use a footstool, I have to raise my knee super high to get the guitar in a good spot. So depending on your proportions, it might work great, or you might, like me, need to search for a different type of device. My favorite type of guitar support is this guy. It's called an ergo play, and it uses suction cups which go onto the side of the guitar. Doesn't hurt the instrument, and it really allows you to customize all of sorts of angles that are required to get the guitar exactly where you want it. So for me, this is incredibly comfortable. You can adjust the guitar this way, that way, higher, lower, and the tilt, which is very important. Now, here are some recommendations for general rules about how to hold the classical guitar. I think something approximating the 45-degree angle is great, although of course some people prefer a bit more tilt, some people prefer a bit less. I don't think this is an option for classical guitarists, and so certainly not something along this height. Now then there's this angle to consider, the tilt of the guitar. I think having the guitar vertical is less than ideal. Instead, I think if you let the guitar dip back a bit against the chest, it rests directly on my sternum, actually, kind of in the middle of my chest, about there. And the extra bit of tilt makes it easier for the right hand to get to the strings, and allows you to really feel the weight of the arm on the left hand. Another thing I often see is guitarists who have one leg sticking out straight, or the foot's on the side, and I would greatly encourage you to keep both feet flat on the ground for stability, and so that everything is in line and you can really let go of your muscles and still stay supported. I think this allows for the most efficient playing possible. Now, another thing I see often is people trying to sort of look over the neck of the guitar. They try to get their head here to see the front of the fretboard, and it results in a sort of turtle thing, and you can hear my voice when I'm speaking here, and then I move my head out here. I sort of lose my voice a bit and can't breathe. So don't do this. It's not necessary, and it's not even helping you. People think that if they can see the front of the fretboard, that their fingers will be more accurate. But actually on the guitar, with training, we don't need to see the front of the strings, we need to feel them, and our muscle memory will tell us where to land. The only thing I can really see when I'm sitting well is I could see the top string here and maybe the underside of the 5th and 4th string. Otherwise, I can't actually see the first 3 strings. If you can, I think that means your guitar is too tilted, or it means you're doing the turtle thing. So instead of doing this whole turtle looking at the guitar thing, I want to encourage you to use your eyes and some very nice free movement from the head without moving it in front of your body. So for example, if I want to look at the 1st fret, I can rotate my head to the left, tuck my chin just a little bit, and then with my eyes, I can see the 1st fret just fine. Okay, so the last part of today's tip is going to be about sitting well, even while under pressure, like in a performance setting. So when we perform, we often get an adrenaline rush, and it's very common to tense our shoulders and stop breathing. So I'd encourage you before you perform to take 10 long breaths and to feel the breath coming from the belly and to pay attention to that swelling of the chest and the decompression. That'll help you relax a bit. And then once you're sitting well, doing the whole head over heart, heart over hips thing, it's helpful to do two things. The first is to roll your shoulders back and let them relax. The second is to pay attention to your lower back muscles and let those sort of let go. For me, another thing that really helps is to remember to relax the jaw. So I like to play often with my mouth slightly open because it prevents me from clenching. And clenching the jaw, shrugging the shoulders, all those stiff muscles do so much damage to the great technique which you've spent countless hours crafting. So remember when performing to breathe, relax the jaw, shoulders, and let those lower back muscles go. All right, guys, I hope you found that helpful. There'll be more guitar tips coming, so stay tuned for more. And if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel yet, please do. You can see lots of new videos coming out regularly on theorbo, lute, classical guitar, and more. See you later.